right, it is 3 o'clock by my watch, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. At this time, I will ask everyone in attendance to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Ms. Stanforth, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Howard.
Present.
Mr. Fullenkamp.
Present.
Ms. Hairston.
Present.
Ms. Hurd.
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin. Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Present.
Mr. Weckesser.
Present.
Mr. Williamson.
Present.
Thank you. We have 7 of 8 present.
All right. The Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority bylaws require board trustees to approve today's board meeting agenda. The agenda was mailed in advance of today's meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I declare approval of the consent agenda. The November 1st board meeting minutes were also mailed in advance. Does anyone request a reading of the minutes, or are there any changes or corrections? Hearing none, I declare approval of the November 1st, 2022 board meeting minutes. We will now hear committee reports, beginning with the Finance Personnel Committee and Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Good afternoon. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees held a meeting on November 15th, and as a result, the Finance Personnel Committee is recommending 7 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 2, adoption of fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budgets. Greater Dayton RTA's total operating revenues for 2023 are projected at $79.3 million, while total operating expenses are projected at $79.2 million. This budget scenario reflects a gain of $100,000 before local capital charges and a loss of $2.8 million after local capital charges. Regarding the capital budget, expenditures for 2023 are projected at $67 million, with $13.4 million or 20% funded by RTA. Capital projects include the categories of electric system infrastructure, revenue vehicles and equipment, transit hubs and facility improvements and equipment, technology, amenities, and other. All projects must follow FTA procurement rules and be approved by the Board of Trustees. For individual projects over $100,000, or the Chief Executive Officer for projects under $100,000. This ensures the board has a second level of approval in addition to approving the overall capital budget each year. Mr. Rosinski presented the budgets at our meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the 2023 operating and capital budgets. This approval allows the Secretary Treasurer to file the appropriate documents with the Montgomery County Auditor and to receive a certificate authorizing 2023 expenditures.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Stinson and second by Ms. Hurd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number 2, 2023 operating and capital budgets is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 3, resolution number 2022-12-1, fiscal year 2023 annual appropriations. Board Trustees' adoption of the fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budgets establish budget limits for the upcoming year. Trustees' approval of resolution number 2022-12-1 will appropriate the needed funds to carry out the activities approved in the budget documents. Mr. Rosinski presented this item at our meeting, and the supporting documents are included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve resolution number 2022-12-1, fiscal year 2023 annual appropriations.
I second.
It's been moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson, second by Ms. Hairston. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number, action item number 3, resolution number 2022-12-1, 2023 annual appropriations is approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 4, Administrative Employee Compensation Guide. Greater Dayton RTA has an Administrative Employee Compensation Guide for non-union employees. Periodically, if not annually, the compensation guide is reviewed and adjusted. A recommendation has been made to the Chief Executive Officer to adjust the current compensation guide across the board by 5% to reflect the quickly changing employment market. There are no implied or express guarantees on wage increases. Mr. Rosinski presented this item at our meeting, and he is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the 2023 Administrative Employee Compensation Guide.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson, second by Mr. Fullenkamp. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number 4, Administrative Employee Compensation Guide is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 5, 2023 Board and Committee Meeting Dates. As set forth in the Greater Dayton RTA bylaws, the Board of Trustees meeting dates occur on the first Tuesday of each month. The Finance Personnel and Planning Committee's meeting dates typically occur on the third Tuesday of each month. The Investment Advisory Committee meets quarterly on the third Thursday during the months of January, April, July, and October. On an infrequent basis, it may be necessary to change a regularly scheduled meeting date. After a comprehensive review of planned agency activities, the attached 2023 board and committee dates are recommended for approval by the Board of Trustees. Ms. Danforth presented this item at our meeting, and she is available to answer any questions that the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed 2023 Board and Committees meeting dates.
Moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson, second by Mr. Weckeser. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number 5, 2023 Board and Committee meeting dates is approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 6, Investment Advisor. Greater Dayton RTA requires the services of a qualified and experienced investment advisor to provide advice and assistance in managing a comprehensive investment program, alongside RTA's Investment Advisory Committee and Secretary Treasurer. This procurement supports the core value of stewardship as we manage our resources efficiently and responsibly. Ms. Danforth presented this action item at our meeting, and she's available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Meter Investment Management for 3 years at $25,000 per year for a total of $75,000 with 2 one-year options at a cost of $25,000 per year for a total of $50,000 with a grand total of $125,000. Investment advisory expenditures will be funded through operating funds.
Second.
This item has been moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson, second by Mr. Weckeser. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Action item number 6, investment advisor, is approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 7, pest control services. Greater Dayton RTA requires the services of a qualified and experienced pest control company to provide a comprehensive, proactive pest control program for all RTA facilities and vehicles. This program includes monthly services and urgent response services. This procurement supports our core value of safety and quality service by serving our customers, employees, and stakeholders as we maintain a clean and pest-free environment. Mr. Brown presented this action item at our meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Darren is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Terminix Commercial for pest control services for 5 years in the amount of $122,304 for preventative services and an estimated amount of $121,250 for additional urgent services for a grand total of $243,554. Pest control services will be funded by operating funds.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Thank you. This item has been moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson, second by Ms. Hurd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number 7, pest control services, is approved.
Thank you very much. Action item number 8, environmental consulting. The purpose of this procurement is to select an environmental consulting service to partner with Greater Dayton RTA to ensure we maintain environmental compliance with all the applicable state, local, and national regulatory requirements, operate using best practices, and advise if issues occur. Mr. Brown presented this action item at our meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board packet. Darren is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Tri-Hydro Corporation for 5 years at an estimated annual cost of $60,000 for a total award not to exceed $300,000. Environmental consulting services will be paid with operating funds.
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Matthews Stinson and second by Mr. Fullenkamp. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item number 8, environmental consulting, is approved.
I have one other item to mention. Small purchases information has been included in today's board package. Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. We will now hear from the Planning Committee chaired by Mr. Weckeser.
The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committee met November 15th for a joint meeting, and while we do not have any action items to bring before you, we do have important updates. At the meeting, Mr. Brandon Palachicchio provided a summary document of recent activities going on in the Customer and Business Development Department. November kicked off RTA's 50th anniversary celebration. In honor of this special occasion, RTA planned several events throughout the month. The media was invited to news to a news conference on November 1st where it was announced that the RTA would be running a special promotion that included free rides after 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, until December 30th. Also, 3 50th anniversary buses were unveiled with designs featuring iconic buses throughout RTA's history. The RTA also held a private employee celebration on November 3rd, and a separate event was held for the public on November 25th. The public event was promoted through a press release, several social media posts, and via RTA's Food for Friends sponsorship with WDTN and Grand Illumination sponsorship with WHIO. The RTA's holiday bus was also unveiled during the Dayton Children's Parade, which coincided with the 50th anniversary public event. Throughout the holiday season, Santa will make special appearances on the bus, running on various bus routes. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We will now hear from the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Rosinski.
Yes, thank you. I'm super happy to report we just got the preliminary November ridership reports, and we are up 34% from last year overall, which is a tremendous number, and we are now just down 26% from pre-COVID levels, which is an improvement. We were down close to 50% at the beginning of the year. So our changes are starting to have a positive impact, and I will note that we are running significantly less service than we ran last year, and our ridership is still up. So the changes we're making are working. A bright spot, in addition to the other bright spot there, is that the flyer ridership has almost doubled since last year, and it's up from pre-COVID. Now that's related mostly to the use of the UD students going back and forth from campus in the arcade, and we'll be talking about some changes to the flyer in a second. So we'll have more detailed ridership information next time we get together. I'm also excited to note that we've been working since we announced the changes a couple months ago that I ended up rescinding because we did not have the best information on some economic development initiatives taking place. We are getting ready to roll out in January the changes that we shared with you in draft form earlier this month. We're putting the final touches on them tonight, and they should be ready to announce tomorrow. But some of the highlights are we'll be able to reduce our mandatory overtime for our drivers, which is a major concern amongst our team members. We'll be able to serve Trotwood with 2 fixed routes instead of 1 along the Main Street drag and the courthouse. We are doing this by rejiggering routes, extending some routes, shortening them in other areas. We basically looked at the whole service map, and anywhere we had duplicative service, and that's where one route and another route ran on the same stretch of street for an extended period of time. We've removed those and redeployed those assets elsewhere. So we're going to actually be able to do try a new thing called the North Community Connector, which is basically going to replace the Route 34, which runs east and west across the northern part of the county, but this will be an extended route, and it will cross 10 of our fixed routes. So it'll provide wonderful transfer opportunities so people won't have to come downtown to transfer with all trips. And this bus will certainly be a welcome addition to serving the Trotwood area with the new courthouse, the Goodwill, the senior lofts, and other development projects happening out there. I did present last night at Trotwood, and they clapped, so they were happy. So we'll have full service changes coming out in the press over the next couple of days. We want to share with our employees first. Obviously, with every service change, we are operating with fewer and fewer fixed route CDL bus drivers. But we were very careful with these changes. Why there will be some customers impacted. They will lose fixed route service. It's a very small number. It's about 50 out of 15,000 daily trips. But those are 50 important people, and we realize that. So we're going to work with those individuals and get them hooked up with Connect on Demand, or tell them what the next closest bus route is, or which change they may be able to do. Brandon and his team have worked very hard on this. And I'd love to be saying we're expanding services and hiring lots of drivers and growing, but the employment situation just does not allow us to do that. So we're having to do the best we can with the resources we have available, and I think this will be another positive change. When I talked about the flyer earlier, one of the big changes is we're cutting back on the flyer. When it was first conceived and put into place, it was basically a parking shuttle that also served downtown. And those parking needs have gone away as people are working from home now and not coming downtown to work. and the funders we had that funded that part of the route have stopped their funding as of the end of the year. So the flyer will basically now only run between UD and the arcade, which is probably where 90 or 95% of the current ridership is anyway. So it will not serve past 3rd Street downtown. That allows us to save 6 drivers in a bus, so that's pretty significant. The flyer will also not operate on Sundays. We experimented with that and the ridership was just too low. And Saturdays it will only operate in the late afternoon and evenings because that's when the UD students want to ride. So some big changes to the flyer. But overall, I think once we get past educating everyone on these changes, it'll be very good. And we have a good marketing campaign. We have meetings scheduled with different community groups, and we will be riding the buses and talking with customers to make sure they're aware. That's my CEO report.
Thank you very much. Is there any old business?
I do. I wanted to make some comments on the comments from last month's board meetings through the public comment process. First of all, we had a comment made which seemed to imply that we were not sharing accurate ridership data as it pertained to Sunday services. I just want to assure the board that all RTA buses are equipped with automatic passenger counter technology, which is approved by the Federal Transit Administration and undergoes annual auditing to ensure they meet federal standards. This is the same system that's used by most major systems across the country. The ridership report that we report is factual and based on these FTA-approved counting methods. In May of this year, we were averaging 6,700 trips on a Sunday. In June, we began free weekend fares, and ridership grew to 8,300 on an average Sunday. And after we changed the service levels on Sunday, we're now averaging 13,800 on a Sunday. So that's a very significant change. We knew there was unmet demand on the weekends, and this proves it. We were also certainly trying to shift some of our weekday riders to the weekends for their errands and different things to lessen the need on the buses during the week and fill the seats on the weekend, so that's working. Comments were made concerning the former senior Easy Ride, as they are every month. We've discontinued that service well over a year ago. These routes were replaced by a door-to-door service, which is open to everyone. The program is working, and almost 900 trips have been taken in Montgomery County so far, and 1,250 trips in Miami County. They're also operating the same program through the MVRPC. We're working with MVRPC to secure some additional funding to approve and expand this program. And of course, our paratransit clients continue to be able to ride door-to-door at any time that they so can schedule a trip. A comment was made concerning the flyer not having enough riders to justify it. It's simply not true. The flyer is our 3rd most successful route, and during the month of September, it had almost 52,000 riders. Our 4th most successful route during that same month only had 40,500. So you can see the flyer is a very important route for us. A comment was also made questioning having a leader without a commercial driver's license. Mark was in fact the first and only leader of RTA with a CDL. 2 of the 4 members of my leadership team have CDLs, along with many of our managers and supervisors, which allow them to fill in as needed. A comment was made about printed schedules. We do have them available from a transit ambassador or upon request, but we are also looking at different avenues where we can get that information out there for people without smartphones. So we hope to have some more to report next year. And finally, a comment was made about showing the drivers' names on each bus. These were removed years ago due to threats and privacy concerns. Unfortunately, in today's society, we have to take precautions that were not necessary in days gone by when we could print people's names everywhere. This is done to protect our team members. And that's all I have from old business.
Thank you very much. Is there any new business?
There is not.
Thank you. Okay, we will now transition to the public comments part of the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak filled out a form prior to this meeting. As a reminder, anyone wishing to address the board must speak on their own behalf. After you are recognized to speak, we ask that you come to the lectern, or if you are physically unable to do so, a handheld microphone will be brought to you. You must first state your name and address, and after doing so, you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. A yellow light will come on when you have 30 seconds remaining, and the secretary will say 30 seconds. When your 3 minutes are up, the red light will come on, and the secretary will say stop. And at that time, we ask that you stop talking, leave the podium, or surrender the microphone. So we have 6 public comments. The first presenter is Bishop E. Ray, is it Cobia? Am I saying that correctly, sir? Thank you.
Bishop E. Ray Cobia, representing New Life Temple of Deliverance and Worldwide Apostolic Church Organization, as well as a community leader in the community of my address is 4746 Germantown Pike, Dayton, Ohio, 45417. My concern here today is with communication of staff as well as drivers. All I heard across the board, I commend you for all you're doing and effortless. But when you have a driver on the bus telling you to get off the bus because your green pass you don't have, that's a problem. Then when you come downtown and you talk to someone down here, well, what do you want us to do? That pass don't work. I have both the green pass and I had to come back down here to get my pass that I can use, and then this ID on the tap thing still say show your ID. There's a communication problem with your drivers as your staff. I have a statement in my ministry that I use, and the statement and the philosophy is you are a product of your people and your people are a product of you. That's how we need to look at it. However we are, that's what we are producing. And whatever we are producing reflects back on us. And it's not fair to drivers. It's not fair to passengers when we have to be taken or put off a bus to get on another bus, which we're going to run into that same problem and a recurring thing, and it's not fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop Cobia. Next, we have Charlene Dawson.
My name is Charlene Dawson. I live at 6045 North Main Street, apartment 214, Dayton, 45415. I have a statement I'd like to read. To Mr. Rosinski and the board, here I am again asking you to reinstate the senior Easy Rider buses. I've told you before about how dangerous it is to cross North Main Street in the area where I live. And I say it again, it is dangerous. The same way you found a way for the students at UD to have the right flyer buses on Saturday mornings going to Walmart, why couldn't you make the same effort for seniors? Make a good faith effort and run 2 to 3 right flyer buses from now December 2022 to March 2023 for the winter months. I say March 2023 because we know it has been known to snow in March. Let me and other seniors know you really, really do care by providing them the life essential transportation. I and they need it. Do it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. We will now hear from Mary Miller.
Good day. My name is Mary Miller. I live at 22.
Can you raise your mic, please? I can't barely hear you.
I live at 229 Colgate Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45417. My comment today again is about the Easy Rider. As Charlene has mentioned, it is becoming harder and harder to negotiate busy thoroughfares, state routes even, like North Main Street. This bus had served 36 communities, and all of them only had to pay $1 if they weren't Fair Transit approved. It was done away with. It took one driver out of your vast number of drivers per week. It went to the communities twice a week, and I believe the VA once a week, but it served families. People actually rode the bus with their family, especially family members that were older and needed assistance. They didn't have cars to take them, but they could ride the Easy Rider. It's one driver a week. Give it back. You've taken some from the senior or Blue Flyer. Put that driver on a dedicated route with the Senior Easy Rider. Give those 36 communities that sense of RTA cares about their safety and is part of their community. I mean, I have other statements, but it doesn't seem to do any good, as Mr. Williamson has told us. They don't really make a comment on it. I thank Mr. Rosinski for actually commenting on the Senior Easy Rider. But until you give it back, it's old business, and we'll continue to bring it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Next, we have Sandra Smothers.
My name is Sandra Smothers. I live at 215 McDaniel, apartment 207, McPherson Town. And I'm here to speak about the Senior Easy Rider. That bus was created by one of your old CEOs, Dr. Minnie Fells Johnson, because she seen a need for the seniors. And I see a need also. That bus should have never been removed from us seniors. Mr. Rosinski, you know better. And you're gonna get old one day and you're gonna need a bus to transport you, because I rode on Project Mobility with you in a wheelchair. Mr. Williamson, you said 18 months. 18 months is gone, this year's about gone. And we're going into a new year. And you say you don't have enough drivers to drive it? Well, I can name 3. Eric Williams, Jackie Cole Nash, and J.J. James Johnson. Those are 3 other dedicated drivers that drove the Senior Easy Rider and didn't mind it. The driver that had it wasn't worth the quarter. He wasn't even doing the head count on it. He said it wasn't enough, but it's a plenty of people that rides that bus service. And we want it back, and we're gonna fight till we get it back, if it take going into next year. Because I'm sick and tired of it. That bus picked us up at our door with the snow and ice. So we didn't have to worry about walking to a fixed route. Project Mobility is fine, but these non-certified people shouldn't be riding our bus service. I had to get certified and other people did. So that is not right, using this $10 trip. That's ridiculous. And then the buses is crowded half the time on Project Mobility. I take that bus every Sunday to church. And I talked to my minister about this problem. He told me to claim it, and I have claimed it in the name of Jesus. And I'm gonna pray until you put it back, because prayer will change things, and everybody knows that in this house. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smothers. Next, we will hear from Ray Stanich. Am I pronouncing that right? I can't hear you, ma'am.
I'm going to pass.
You're gonna pass. Our final request is Tiki Kai Krishmano.
My name is Tiki Kai Krishmano,
Thank you.
and what I'm concerned about is now that it's a new, well, anyway, my concern is this. You have a whole lot of things done, but what you need is someplace for people to sit and stand when you're catching a bus. You're standing out there and there are no seats and there's no shelter. And what's going to happen when it rains or snows? You need some shelter, you need some seats, because that is just unreal to expect people to stand out there in the weather. And on Salem Avenue, there are no places where you can sit at all. And And the places where there were seats, they've been taken out. Now, what I want to know is, are you going to put some seats in with some shelter for us not to have to stand out in the rain and the snow and the sleet? That's my major concern. That needs to be dealt with because there are no seats. And it's unfair to ask us, paying customers, to have to pay to stand out in the weather with no shelter. And I want to know what you are planning on to do about that. Because it is a problem, it does need to be solved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sharon, since this is a new comment from a new speaker, I'd like to at least give a preliminary reply. The city of Dayton is redoing the majority of Salem Avenue, rebuilding the streets and the infrastructure and everything. And some of those amenities that were probably 30 years old plus have been removed by the contractors. We do have plans to put many of the benches back. There's just timing issues and construction concerns. When it comes to shelters, the Federal Transit Administration has stopped funding those unless we go through a.
Oh, you can't hear him? Okay,
No.
can I ask, you can keep going, Bob, but can you meet with her after the meeting as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
As far as shelters go, the Federal Administration, Transit Administration, our main funder for capital projects, has made it almost impossible to get shelters installed anywhere because of the legal and environmental reviews they require now and all the governmental sign-offs. It costs far more to do that than it costs for a shelter, and they won't pay for that as well. So we haven't installed shelters in several years, but we do have a community grants program where if other cities want to install shelters, we can use a loophole in the laws and do that, but we can't do them directly ourselves very easily. But we intend to put benches back along Salem Avenue as that construction is completed. But I just drove up Salem Avenue the other day, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit before, a little bit more time until they're ready. So we'll look at that again as soon as it's practical. For us to put something out now, it would get damaged or removed by the contractors, and it just doesn't work.
And again, can you meet with her, Bob, after the meeting directly?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone for your comments and concerns. At this time, I'm going to give an opportunity to our board members who may have comments of their own, and I will start to my right with Ms. Hairston.
No comment, just to wish everyone a happy holiday season, as we probably will not be meeting so before Christmas holiday.
Thank you. Mr. Fullenkamp.
Just to echo those words and wish everyone a very happy and safe holiday.
Ms. Hurd.
I want to thank you, Bob, for ordering 50-degree weather today. It made it much nicer.
It's part of our 50th anniversary celebration.
That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews Stinson.
No comments.
Mr. Wackesser.
Happy holidays.
Mr. Williamson.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
You're all a quiet bunch today. All right. Well, Mr. Rosinski, do we have a need for an executive session?
We do not.
Perfect. All right. So we have reached the conclusion of our final board meeting of the year. Do I have anyone who would like to make a motion to adjourn today's meeting? Okay, we got moves and seconds coming from everybody. Okay, so I'm assuming that all of you are in favor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And I assume no one is opposed. All right, well, at this time, I will wish everyone a happy holidays. Continue to keep John Lumpkin, our board chair, in your prayers, and want everyone to have a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you in 2023. And with that, I'm not going to do the Adrian Hurd. I'm going to go nice. Meeting is adjourned.